when I remember supporting Lisa for the first time, I think it was just, I don't know, it was really eye-opening to just see how much she had been through. It was a very difficult and challenging environment for her. The hospital ward was very busy. It was incredibly difficult for her to regulate herself, to cope, how to support. We obviously were thinking, how do we help this person? How do we support her? How do we create the best environment for her in the community?
So we developed this positive behaviour support plan alongside the multidisciplinary teams and the registered nurses in the hospital and the staff. And so we had this kind of functionally informed PBS plan. We also trained them on the proactive approaches. So how are we going to support the person to access the community? How are we going to support the person to visit their family?
Because that's where people need to be. You know, hospitals are designed to support people, but they're not someone's home, and they're not supposed to be there for their whole lives. You know, you go, you get treatment, and then you come out and you go back to a functioning member of society.
Okay, so the first thing that we started doing as a therapies team, we started attending ward rounds with the hospital. So we were going along and we were working out kind of exactly, wanted to get to know the person we're supporting, and we were looking at the transition from the start. And one of the reasons they went with us as a provider is because we had the PBS input and the therapies team, and we could support the transition out into the community.
People can achieve great things if they're in an environment where they can thrive. And these environments can not just be a physical environment, thinking of things of warmth, sound, light, but also just having skilled support staff. If you have somebody that understands you, understands the trauma and your needs, you're going to be supported more effectively.
We looked at a transition plan. What was that going to look like? So the first plan was to get our staff into the hospital and start working alongside her so that we could build rapport, we could build those relationships. And myself and the speech and language therapist then started going into the hospital as well. We started the functional and behavioural assessment process. It was quite a phased transition. So at first they were shadowing the staff in the hospital, and then they started working on her like 2-to-1 obs, and then eventually they were solely supporting her within the hospital. That went on for quite a long time, and at that point we were building a house in the community as well, so we were involved in developing the spec of the house.
We were talking to her about what would you like. She was saying, I would like a shower, I would like to have my TV in my living room, I'd like to have my kitchen just so, I would like to have sharp objects locked away because sometimes I can't trust myself around them. So we made sure that we didn't have any glass, no porcelain, everything was like plastic. We wanted to make sure that she was listened to, that we created the best environment as we could. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure it was kind of like a blank canvas so she could put her own stamp on it. You know, she was a really big fan of Disney characters, Britney Spears, and all of those things. And we wanted to have all of those kind of posters and things ready for her, but so she could put her own stamp on it though. So we weren't going to say, this is your new bedroom. It's like, we wanted to say, this is your bedroom. How do we create this space with you, not for you? We got the house sorted, it's time to transition. And she began to become really anxious about it. And I was on an MDT and they were saying, how can we give her this information that it's definitely happening? So we thought we could create a social story, which is almost like a storybook of what's going to be happening. But then we thought, the 21st century now, we can think outside of the box. We can think of new creative ways to deliver this. And that's where I came up with the idea of using video animation. and creating avatars.
Basically showed them a little video of them moving from the hospital environment. So it had the background of the hospital it had the person in the hospital, it had the car that was hers, and the person was getting in the car, the staff team that were going to be with her when they travelled to the new house, which the person had given a name to.
So I met with Lisa online, and we had a great bit of fun creating her digital avatar. She was like, I want to wear a pink onesie, and I want to have a flower in my hair, and I want to dress like this. So she could identify that that was my version of me in this digital world. And then we started to build a storyboard of everything. And with the video animation, it was really clear. And we got one of her nurses that knew her really well to do a voiceover as well. So we recorded her voice so she could recognize the voice of the nurse that had been supporting her this whole time. So she was once again reassured that this person was going to explain to her in the best way that she could understand, and she felt comforted knowing that it was the voice of someone that had been caring for her for such a long time. We wanted a Britney Spears song in the background just to make it as personal-centered as possible. And we showed her the video, and she was instantly eased. Her anxiety started to disappear. She could watch that video as many times as she wanted, just to run through it over and over again, so she knew what that predictability and that structure. And that's one of the biggest things of a capable environment, is knowing what is being asked of you and what is going to be coming up in the future. And when it came to the day, her big moving day, it went off without a hitch. She transitioned so smoothly, and she could begin recovering and begin her new life. It was amazing to see that from having hundreds of restraints to no restraints in 9 months was just incredible. Just to see that change. And it was all through all of that planning, all of that training, really focusing on quality of life building. Because we all know it's this balancing act. The greater the quality of life, the lower chances of behaviors of concern or challenging behavior. The happier someone is, the less they have to resort to getting their needs met through these challenging ways. We achieved some amazing things with Lisa, and it was just, everybody was so happy that she is still in the community. And there was an awful lot of pressure from the social workers saying that if this doesn't go well, this is her last opportunity. If not, she will probably be in hospital for the rest of her life. And that's why we really wanted to make sure that all the planning, all the implementation, all the training, it was this huge joint effort to just make sure that we could give this person the best opportunity they could to have the best life. If you have the right capable environment around someone, they can thrive and they can achieve great things. And that's what was so lovely about Lisa's story.